What's up, guys? Welcome to Split Talk. The first episode is going to be today. Today, I got my man, Ika. He is the owner of Ika Glass. He is a glass artist. He makes bongs. He's very beautiful, eccentric, very unique, and magical bongs. Like, not only for dabbing, but also for just regular smoking weed. So, I'm going to be introducing him right now. His name is Ika again, and it's Ika Glass. You can follow him on Instagram, and I'm going to put the link below. So, what's up, Ethan? How you doing?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
So, you said that before we started the show, you said that your business has been going on for 4 years, right?
Yeah, so it started back May 16th, 2016.
Wow. And what made you wanted to get into this glass making and this glass art that you have?
Oh, I had no fucking clue of any of it. I was literally just with a couple homies, and I saw one of them was wearing a pendy, and I was just like, fuck it. Let's see how this is done. And I walked into the studio and looked around. Like, let me get this straight. You guys are all smoking and drinking and hanging out with your homies, and y'all getting hella paid. This might be for me. Get to play with fire and shit. It was great.
Oh wow! So it was your friends who were like into it, and then
I was just one. And ironically, it wasn't even a friend prior. He was a manager at a head shop, and I needed a banger and some papers. I just happened to walk into the right place at the right time.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And now you've worked with glass before, or you just kind of like picked it up on the fly?
No previous artistic anything. I'm still sketched out to show my drawings to people and just to be afraid of like, you're about to spend some serious money. I'm like, I don't want to send you some like grade 4-year-old drawing, and you're like, you know what? Maybe you're not the artist for me. But no. Prior to glass, there was
that is amazing. I mean, I've seen some of your pieces. Like, they are really beautiful. Like, you make these pieces where it looks like a scorpion. And you can put the bud in there for the bong and stuff. You have like this other one that looks like a glass hand that was really beautiful. I was like, wow, man! Like, you make like these. It almost looked like occult bongs, like like it has some like mythical, spiritual background to every piece.
Absolutely. And I try to make something that's a little different. I do a lot of the hands and the scorpions for two reasons. One, I needed to practice symmetry and all these really technical aspects just to have something that's really, really difficult. And for so that as I continue to do more and more of them, they're going to get better. So I chose the hardest things I could possibly think of. Now they're a lot easier. They're still, nothing's easy in glass. People ask me that shit all the time. Like, what's the easiest thing to make? I always tell them the same thing. Nothing. Not a single goddamn thing that's easy. 6,000 degrees of flame. There ain't nothing easy. Some things are just less hard than others.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, I agree with that because I'm an artist myself. So, I remember when I was a kid, I used to get so annoyed because people would always be asking me to do these art projects for them, to help them out. I would end up doing a lot of it. And then like, they would look at me and they're like, wow, you make that look so easy. Like, what is the medium they use that's like the easiest? And I'm like, well, I don't really think any of them are easy, because there's so many ways that you can do it, and especially like, I'm pretty sure you're like a little bit of a perfectionist, right? When it comes to your art pieces.
You try to be, but I'm in an industry where, perfection is impossible. So you really just try to do the best thing you can.
Yeah. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about art that I learned is that art is basically really imperfectly perfect, beautiful pieces. It's actually their imperfections that sometimes make them the most amazing and magnificent things to look at.
I think part of what makes something art is everyone's got, different definitions, but it's probably something that we've all toyed with trying to define just for the sake of argument over the last 4 years. But for me, I think art is when someone's true expression is captured. And just because something is made or created, it still doesn't make it art. It actually means whether it's the client or someone to be able to appreciate the moment it has that impact on someone. When they see it, they go, what the fuck? That reminds me of ... or that makes me feel in certain ways. It's got to create a reaction because otherwise it's something that the artist created, but it still doesn't necessarily mean that it's art. Once it has that impact and once it connects to somebody on any capacity, then it becomes, art because it's still living. The person's still thinking about that shit even after they're not there anymore. They don't see the piece. It's still playing in their head. They're talking about it with their friends. Yeah, it's a different kind of energy, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. And now you told me that you're sold out already, right? Like you're
I've been
still like
super
catching
blessed.
up.
Yeah, I've been super blessed. The last 6 months, I've been completely sold out. I have about a 3 month wait list.
Wow, that is great, man. Like your pieces, like I mean, who wouldn't want to buy them? I mean, there's like I said, like you
Well,
guys should definitely
there's a
like
lot
knock
of
it out.
artists. We're about 160,000 in North America. So to be honest, I'm kind of super blessed and thankful every single time I make a sale. Hey, you put up like so many other people. And somehow you came here, and yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, before you did this with this glass art, like what did you do before?
My background is I'm a medical hypnotherapist, and I was also studying to get ready for a doctorate. So kind of did a little bit of a 180. Went from the world of therapy and helping and healing to art.
Wow,
Yeah, bit
wow.
of a change. I was also a professional poker player for a little while. I did a couple different things. Had some fun doing it for sure.
So you're like a jack of all trades then.
I got good at a few.
Now you did professional poker playing, like actual like competing against people,
Yep, both live and online.
live and online. Wow, what's like the most you've
What?
ever won from that?
Uh, like low five figures.
Wow, not bad. That's pretty good.
It
And
was
it was
great.
like,
I got no horror stories. I never had anyone. There's no yo-yo Vinny that I owe money to or any of that. I thankful myself. I did it all solo. And honestly, kind of started off almost as like a joke. My buddies taught me how to play. Started winning some house games. Then started winning more games. Then I realized I'm like, shit. These stats maybe aren't quite normal. I'm like, fuck it. Let's see if this is actually real. Sharks.
right,
Anchor. I had probably some of the best times of my life. It's a great bachelor lifestyle, right? You wake up, whatever. You kind of decide, am I going to work today? Am I not? I go to the golf course. I go have some crazy food. I go have some drinks, and then I still decide, you to work today or not? Because it's all right there in the poker house. So it was a lot of fun. Why I say it's like more bachelor type stuff because it's going to be pretty hard. 3 o'clock in the morning, you wake up and you look at your girl and you're like, listen, baby, I got a really good feeling. I'm going to be back in maybe a couple hours, maybe a day. I don't know, but don't worry, everything's good. Like, those will be paid. So I was like, you know what? I enjoyed the shit out of it when I was solo. But I actually moved on even like before I got it.
okay,
Yeah, it was honestly more of a test just to see if can you actually not just be a professional gambler, but can you actually make a living in something with such a small percentage margin for actual success that it's fucking ridiculous. And yet,
right.
the only reason why I even thought there was a chance is because I keep looking at all the other people who are successful, and it's a statistic anomaly. There's no fucking way out of this many people sitting down into a tournament that it's the same people winning. Because as good as you are in poker, there is still an element of luck. There is still an element of all of these, things that are out of your control, per se. And being able to try to be proficient for, even a professional in something that is just marginally, at best, it was just, I like really hard challenges. Kind of why I got into the glass too, because perfection's impossible. You do the best you can. And there's so many different techniques. There's so many different styles. Shit's crazy.
It sounds crazy. I mean, it sounds like a professional sport. Just hearing you talk about it.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. It's definitely great. It was, it started. I would say that the real heady glass scene started in the States. We're kind of like we're definitely into it now, but in comparison to the States, we're just catching up. The market had already been established there for a hot minute, and I think a large part of it too, like even like when I was a teenager, when I was a kid, we had cheap, shitty China bongs and stuff like that, but bongs aren't a big thing, especially also where I am in Quebec. At that time, they loved their bongs, and then that was it. There was no rigs, there was no, slides and flower bowls and all this other crazy shit. It was just, little shitty pipes and like maybe like bubblers and things like that and stuff. So, I don't know. it was neat. I think for the first time ever, I came into a market that wasn't either beyond saturated or on its way out, things like that. I did a lot of sales my entire life. Anytime we sold mortgages, actually with my brother, and we were stuff like that. That was right before Census 21 had all of that crazy shit, the whole mortgages in California for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So it was always that kind of unfortunate, just goddamn, everything I got into in life was always just a little bit too late. Shit was proper, but just a little bit too late. So this was one of those really weird things where when I started 4 years ago, the market in Canada was just like bunk, and there wasn't many artists. So it was kind of one of those. I had no intention of thinking that I could have actually made a career out of shit. I was just, I had a business, kind of like I guess like a Uber type, and basically I was doing that for 8 hours a day, and then I was in the studio for 8 hours, and then go home and sleep, do that shit again. So my first year, I missed 8 days out of the moment I walked.
Wow.
There was no time off. There was no nothing.
It's funny that you talk about that because growing up, I came from a very Christian religious background. My family though they had a very poor mentality when it came to like their future,
Right.
and I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and then meeting like a lot of business people, finding out what was the best thing to get into, whether it was real estate or network marketing or trying to start my own business from nothing. You get to learn really quickly that you're either two different types of people. Either you're the person who's working for another man's dream, or you're working for your own dream.
Absolutely. And I think me and my brother, we worked a lot of places together when I was here. I think that was really, that was one of the clear big indications to take a look and you realize. And I get it. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing. There needs to be workers and there needs to be owners and stuff. I just could never wrap my fucking head around the spot of, I didn't care how much somebody else was getting paid off of work. That wasn't what was bothering me. It didn't even bother me as much that I was doing all of the work. What bothered me was I had the resources and the connects and the sheer drive and work ethic to just do this shit on my own. And at one point, we started being like, "Yo, fuck this salary shit. Let's go commission only." And that led to, hey, I think we actually got this shit. And so my brother and I, we tried to do a couple businesses together. Unfortunately, they didn't work. Some of it was 100% our fault. Some of it was, nothing to do with us, just shit part of an industry or shitty part of timing, something like that. But no, it's been quite the journey, that's for sure.
Wow. No, yeah. I mean, it's just amazing to hear how like you wore all these hats throughout life. Taking all these like different milestones and stepping stones that you had to get through to realize that you're good at something that you never even like tried before.
And bro, it's the most fucked up thing because like part of my natural brain, like once this shit became like career as of 2 years ago, it was this kind of like I couldn't shake this thought. I'm like the last thing in the world. Like I don't want to say I'd make fun of people, but I'd be like, man, you an artist? I'm like, you a goddamn bum. I'm like, or a hippie. I'm like, you can't make no living being an artist, in any kind of a thing. Or if you do, you eat shit, for so fucking long that by the time you make it, you're on that brink of I don't want to fucking do it anymore, right? There's a lot of that type of sentiment. So I never thought that it was going to be a career thing or anything, but I couldn't get over the fact that not coming from any artistic background or really any ability to try to express, like I fuck around a little bit with music and with some other shit, but nothing like on a serious level. All of a sudden, the glass gave me that freedom to literally make whatever the fuck I want. Like I definitely do. I make all kinds of shit. I made tons of dicks and chicks and fucking super inappropriate pieces, super cute little fun pieces, shit that's gory, shit. I kind of look at it in the sense that if I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, I don't necessarily want to just focus on one style and one thing. Not because I feel like it's a one-trick pony or any shit like that. No, there are a lot of advantages of being consistent, right, and doing the same thing over and over. You really do tighten up and etc. But for me, the biggest fear was I didn't want to be buying myself a job. That even if I was good at something, didn't mean I particularly liked it. Like I couldn't risk possibly having this sour taste in my mouth for now this new thing that I've found and discovered that's just the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. It's that freedom. It's that you get an idea and you're like, I'm gonna make this shit today, and it's like, and it works, and it's really weird because as much as it's incredibly self-gratifying, it really is. Like I don't thank God, obviously, people buy my shit, but really, I genuinely just enjoy making it. It's so much fucking fun. The process, the thought. And the weirdest thing is, I had a little bit of not regret, but like, man, how did I not, find this shit early? I started when I was 33 years old. So that's a late start in, retrospect,
Wow.
considering.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had to do all of the other things that I did. I had to do business. I had to have a local fucking career. I had to have a therapist career. I had to have all of these things so that I could actually extrapolate all of the proper dynamics and all of these things that I needed from each one of these disciplines. And not just take the best, all of it applied. Anything that was ever tried, tested, and true in any of these other industries that I did were 100% applicable in class. And I think that's been part of a large catapult reason to my success was I know how to do the business back end side of things. I know how to be sociable with people. I know how to work my balls off. You got to do all of this shit all the time.
Right.
It
Right.
never ends.
No, yeah, it's true. It's true because like you said, it's all trial and error, really, and I guess the biggest obstacle that a lot of people face is having the balls, really, to like continue to take risks to find
100%.
out what you're really good at.
100%. And I wouldn't suggest, to anyone to do it the way that I did it. Like, I'm just that kind of guy that I just like, I grab that bitch by the horns. Like, it's the way I do it. I'm a hyper committed kind of guy. So that's why for the first year, I was like, oh, this is just super fun. And honestly, I was totally good with just having this incredible hobby that whatever the fuck I was going to do with my day work, at least I get to come home and have some fun and create. And I couldn't believe how much shit was selling. Like, it was all selling. What the fuck is going on? Like, people actually really like this shit. I'm like, or need it even because, we deal with luxury items. There's no actual need. Like, let's say you quote unquote need to smoke flower. You can absolutely go and buy a $60 China bong and it'll function, right? Like, it is what it is. In the rigs, not so much. In the rigs, the China, it's not, everyone kind of harps on China and they're like, oh, it's, shit, not got, it's not that China or the work that they produce is shit. It's most of the work that they export because they're exporting it at such a price. Like, dude, these bongs are coming into the States and North America, $2, $5, and head shops are flipping them for $80, $150 and shit. Yeah, the margins are insane. So that's why these stores do it, right? It's how they pay their bills. And then at least some of the stores, they'll be like, okay, listen, I got to move the cheap pieces and all of this shit in order for me to still be able to buy local artists and support both. And I understand it. It's a business. A lot of artists are very butthurt about that. They're like, fuck that. Don't support China. It's not about whether we support China or not. It's the stores who support us. This is how they make a living. And
Right.
I got no fucking qualms with it. They buy my work, they buy other people's work. It's a business, right? At the end of the day, it is what it is.
I mean, like, you have to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you, like when it comes, and that's the thing, like when it comes to art, when it comes to even music, you can't really get too political. You can't play favorites because art is something that is expressed throughout the whole world. It's not just something that has to stay home.
Absolutely, and I think that's a big part of it. Part of it too. I think that's, like I said, with what we were talking about before, what makes it art. Art is something that needs to be created and received, right? So whether it's physically owned or whether it's physically up in a gallery or whatever it is. When I say received, I don't mean in the physically in the hand. I mean the world has to see it. The world has to get a chance to, that way that reaction can happen. So if something gets created, someone reacts to it, now that becomes art. Because it might not be art for you, right? It might not be your style, but it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily art. It's still, I don't know. It's a tough kind of term that everyone throws around.
No, no, it's good though. And you said that, and I know that your brother Natan, he's also like dabbled in music as well. And you're a guitarist, right?
Ridiculous on the harmonica. Like,
he told me.
Motherfucker picks up the goddamn harp, and it's like for those first 2-3 months, oh shit, man, it was bad. It was bad. I love him to death. He's my brother, but it was rough. You just hearing that harmonica just rip your ear out, and then literally, like, as if it was overnight, just at one point, you're like, oh shit, that's got a little bit of groove. And the next thing you know, he's performing, he's out on stage, he's fucking crushing it.
Wow.
And it was beautiful because we both grew up. Mom's a constant pianist, right? So we both kind of grew up with piano being force fed down the throat, which was fun. You hate that shit as a kid. But you get a little older and you're like, oh wait, but the girls kind of appreciate this shit. It's not so bad, thanks, Ma. And little things like that. So you're like, okay. So I his kind of like branch of expression went into harmonica, and I started fucking around a little bit with guitar. I didn't get anywhere close to his level with the harp. He had on the harp, done a ton of stage performance and stuff. Really sick, really sick.
Now, what made you want to get into guitar?
Because piano was kind of like forced. It was literally as if like, oh, I'm Russian, so I speak Russian because I was born into it. Same shit. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I appreciate music. I appreciate the way it makes me feel. More important, I appreciate the impact it has on others. And therefore, if you're creating music, I can have a direct impact on others. And I think looking back, that's kind of been, maybe not the poker part, but most of the other jobs that I've done, that's been, typically that is, it's not about a giving back, but it's about having a major impact on people. Able to change someone's either perception or physical state of being. And, the odd time where you had some kind of a profound change, that's the shit that kept you going and doing it and all that fun stuff.
Right. And now you never wanted to like do anything professional with it, right? Like
no, and the real reason why is it wasn't, after a year I was like, fucking, of course, like I said, right? You're hanging out with your homies, you smoking, drinking, you melted, you traveling the world, it's a fucking blast. But that was why I was also like, you know what? I don't want to risk possible. If I continue on continuing, I will have this in my life forever. I'll never get a weird sour taste. Like, oh, fuck, what works there? I gotta make this. I don't want to make some shit like that. So that's why I stayed away from production. I got nothing but respect for all my glassmakers, our production guys. They got families, they got people. It gives them a consistent, ability so that they can make cool creative shit. But because I did have my business at the time when I started, I still had some extra cash flow and I still had some extra things. So I allowed myself that time and that chance really to see. And at one point, there's one of my old shopmates who was on my message, like, he's got a thick French accent. Like, hey, buddy, how much more sales do you need where you think you can make a career, huh? Like, it's not even about how many more sales are hitting some, very fictitious number. It's what if I go when I decide to do this shit full time, and then all of a sudden I do have to do production, or worse, it's not working. Not making enough, it just went from a decent lifestyle to all of a sudden, no matter how talented you are, you better be ready to eat some shit. You want to become a professional artist. You want to actually make money creating shit and have your entire livelihood based upon people appreciating it. Good luck with that shit, right? It's a very, very, very small percentage of people that success. And that's when what kind of got me interested. I'm like, all right, humor me. I'm like, why are they successful? Because I see some artists that are just fucking incredible. Their work is amazing, and they all got jobs last year, and they've been like, 10 plus years, 15 plus years, survived that whole crazy turmoil time, all the shit that happened, in that part of the art history with the glass scene. And I realized, making art and selling art have absolutely nothing, and that shit's even harder. So a lot of these artists, the phenomenal artists, they have no fucking impact whatsoever. Like, they should literally be banned from using their Instagram. I see the shit that they say to the public or to their clients and stuff, and I'm just like, dude, a girl on that shit, hire a kid out of school, do something. This is why you're not making money. You're working fucking nothing. And on the very flip side, I can use that opposite. I see guys where, it's your first 6 months, it's your first year, your shit's starting out, right? It's as good as it could possibly be. And motherfuckers are sold out in 8 months straight. Waiting list of all the year, and you're just like, what the
what?
If they found something that was either small or easy enough for them to do, respond super well with the public, they made it at a very affordable price. So all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I'm naked in this whole art scene. So yeah, sure, what you create and what you make is largely, I'd say that's the majority, 50% of it. That other 50%, that shit's all business. Doing interviews, doing events, doing tours, I did about 35 collabs in the last year. So it was a lot on the road, a lot of time working with other artists, and it's sick because it really opens a completely different dynamic. If you're working with an artist, it's really nice because it's a clear indication of at least how someone is. Forgetting the art, forget what it is you're creating. You watch to see, they get frustrated. Shit happens, right? Pieces will break and this is that, and you watch to see how they handle it. You watch to see how they handle it and trying to sell the pieces, with the money, all of this kind of shit. So it's been really nothing short of amazing experience. I've never had any issues with not really ever. Yeah, it's always strong support, and I've learned so much. Like, yeah, I did take a lot of classes, and I was super lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Cost a fortune, mortgage on a house. But having said that, it also gets you access, to the teachers.
Right.
A lot of really good friends. It really is the difference of if you're not going to invest in yourself, then why the fuck would anybody else do it? Right? So that was kind of my commitment to it. Just push.
Yeah.
Head in the dirt and surface in a couple of years. You're like, all right, I'm out of the shit zone. So yeah, I've been out of the shit zone for a minute now, which is great. Definitely have a full sense of freedom what I get to make. And just, I don't know, man, it kind of freaks me out when I think about it that my entire business is based on, a free app and on people seeing shit and being like, yeah, I want to buy it. I'm just like, every time I'm like, really? Oh, it's so nuts. It's so nuts.
No, it is. I mean, like, and a lot of the stuff you were saying is very true. Like a lot of people don't understand that a lot of those aspects of being an artist. The struggles, the business side, being able to balance that out of being a creative person, but also being business savvy and being able to think intelligently when it comes to selling your stuff, but also even thinking about the perspective of, what market would like your art. You have to like really aim at the people who would really be interested in what you are offering. A lot of people, they try to follow other people's footsteps, and that's why they end up getting shut down. Because
in our industry too, right? Much like I guess any other art, we don't, they don't even look at it as plagiarism. They'll be like, oh man, you got to do your own fucking style, or you got to do your own thing. And when I saw that kind of shit, I was like, you know what? I don't like any one particular thing. I got interested in glass because there's literally a million different techniques, and if you chose one, just fucking one, and you literally spend an entire lifetime in a career, you won't even be able to master it. Literally, master it. So my logic was, a lot of my teachers, they all told me, they're like, listen, just fucking pick one thing, focus on it, create a design, and just pump it out for 2-3 years straight. It'll help you build the following base. You'll have brand recognition and stuff, so the stores will want to buy your work and all of this stuff. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I don't want to do that shit. I'm like, that's part of the magic, and that's part of what I like to have that ability. And I need to earn that right. I want to have it that I wake up in the morning and whatever the fuck I want to make today is what I make. Having said that, I do custom work, and I only take on the kind of customs where they're just, a lot of them are pretty ridiculous. You got crazy things that I just even I wouldn't have thought of. And I have a pretty creative mind, which is, back to what we were talking about before. That's why I think this whole Black shit worked out so well, is because I had a full opportunity to literally make anything. So if I want to make something funny or inappropriate or shocking or whatever, you kind of can. Yeah, it's very different. Very different and shit. I've never seen anything like it.
All right, that's cool. Well, if you give me a second, since you're already lighting up, I gotta light mine too, but I gotta go outside for it.
Hell yeah!
So give me a minute to transfer outside. Just stay on the line. Don't hang
up.
No problem. Go downstairs. All right. And we're outside. Cool. So, how many joints you smoke a day?
Oh, bro, you couldn't imagine. Plus, being a glass blower, I'm definitely blessed because I make a lot of pieces for a lot of countries and a lot of the underground guys. So for them, it's great. They got the logo, they got the whatever it is, and to be able to transfer it to glass and actually make something. You saw on my page that giant honey badger one. That's for honey badger extracts. Actually, the one that I was doing last night, I don't know if it's on great. The one with the crazy honeycomb drip and all that shit. The other one with wood grain. There's an owl on the side of the rig. That's my other company. So I do a lot of the corporate pieces, which is some of my favorite to do because these are expensive pieces, and these guys got and change is never a bad thing.
That is very true. That is very true. Now, um, let's talk about weed a little bit. So, when was the first time you ever smoked like your first joint? Like, how old were you when that happened?
Say I was about 14.
Mm.
And it was funny. My brother, he had tried when he was younger, but it gave him like I think he tried a couple times, gave him a headache, and then I remember in his graduating high school year, and he like either smoked some hash on the fucking Pepsi can or some like some terrible shit like that. Got absolutely chewed. Couldn't stand the taste. This is that. So it was never his thing. Like a solid decade plus, and I become a teenager. And living in Montreal also is very different than Calgary. I was born in Calgary, and
Mm.
that's where we had all lived. That's where the rest of my family all immigrated from Russia. So the culture there and with the whole weed thing, even though it's close to BC, it honestly never. Yeah, back, even though it's legal, like they love weed back. It's crazy. Weed, the wine, the everything. Like yeah, they don't. Uh, kind of nice. But yeah, no, it was very different culture. And started smoking, and as my brother's wife, she was getting massive migraine, crippling migraine, worse and worse. So kind of slowly started in with a little bit of that. All
Oh
right, baby,
wow.
just take this 1 or 2 puffs and shit, man. Dude, I remember when a dime bag would last the three of us a week. And when I say last, I mean we weren't trying to ration or anything. We'd roll that shit into 3 joints and we were fucking chewed. Like chewed. It was so bad. We were on the L seat of like these like 2 couches. We had
Hmm.
to be on the skateboard because we were so baked off of sharing a point 0.3 for 3 people. We'd literally roll that shit on the skateboard with the ashtrays. Just eating tons of nonsensical junky things, watching with it was great. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, that's crazy because see, my experience, and I know that weed has an effect on people differently. You know, like everybody is affected by it differently. You know, it benefits people differently. So, like for me, I never smoked a joint until 2015.
Wow. So
Yeah,
like,
and
when you say never smoked a joint, like also just like never smoked like weed, period.
never smoked anything, no weed, nothing. Like I grew up, like I said, in a very religious home.
Right.
So, and then
I,
after
I was
high
gonna ask.
school,
My brother told me with the name change. So how did you do the name change? Like I'm assuming that's part of.
oh, my name.
Yeah.
Oh, well, in Jersey, they have its own laws on how to do your name change. You have to have a
Okay.
valid reason. So, you know, I decided to change my name back in 2019 because I no longer associated myself with my birth name. You know,
Fair
all
enough.
my life, you know, Lucifer was a name that kind of like called itself onto me. Like, you know, when I was growing up as a Christian, you know, goody goody church boy, I was always like studying the Bible, learning a lot of different things, and I realized that, and this is just my personal interpretation
Right.
of belief, that you know the devil is a made up character, right? And sin is just another way of being prejudiced, another way of being discriminating, you know, because good and bad is relative. You know, it's based off the individual, it's based off your perspective, you know.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I admit, when I was younger, you know, I was totally against a lot of things, but it was because I had the influence of my parents, you know,
Yeah.
making me feel like a lot of those things were bad to do. So, you know, I went to the military right after high school, and then I didn't smoke a joint until I got out of the military in 2015, and it was with a buddy of mine. And I remember the first time that I tasted it, I was like, "Wow, this tastes so bad! Like it's such a bitter taste, you know." And
It is
then
so.
and then, like little by little, like I would smoke here and there, like once a month, you know,
Yeah.
twice a month. Then all of a sudden, my son's mother, who I'm with now, she takes me to my first ever house party, and this girl had like a White Widow oil pen. So
Okay.
she told me to inhale, and she told me not to do it too deep. But by the time she told me that, I already had inhaled really deep.
Yeah.
Bro, I was fucking gone. I I was just it was like it felt like I was in the movie Project X. Like one minute I was in the dance floor, like dancing with my
Yeah.
girl. Next thing I'm in the living room, laughing with her about who knows what. Like just lost, bro. Like it was so much fun after that. Like I was hooked because weed for me, like I already know my limitations. Like I know that too much gets me too high where I can't really think. You know, I'm just like lazy. And then, but if I smoke just one joint, you know, and I wait a couple hours, that joint helps my brain what's it called, stimulate
Yeah.
a lot. You know, it helps me with my creative side, especially because I'm a artist, you know, not only in drawing but I also make my own music.
Sick.
Yeah, man. So that was my experience, you know, with weed. Like the first time, it was just, you know, it was weird, but it was like I got used to it and now like I smoke almost every day.
Shit, man.
Yeah. But now it's funny too because have you ever been to California or you've always
Yeah.
been Canada?
Yeah, no, no. I lived in California actually a couple times. So for about 6 months, almost a year each time.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I got to do a lot of when I was younger. One of my jobs was doing advertising for real estate. So I got pretty much, I'd say almost every state, like minus I don't know, minus Louisiana, minus Hawaii, minus Alaska, like pretty
Hmm.
much, let's say 40 something out of the states I had lived in for at least anywhere from 2 weeks to a couple months doing the work. So it was nice, got to get around.
Wow. And now have you ever like tried like different strains in California?
When I was in California, this is great. So the last time that I was in California, it was about fuck, maybe 8 or 10 years ago. And at that point in Canada, like we're still behind a lot of shit, especially the US. You guys way on top of that shit. So nobody
Hmm.
knew what the fuck nobody. Like we're talking 1 in 20 or 30 people were like, oh yeah, I've heard of that before. Meanwhile, there was like I don't know what the fuck it was. There was no access to any of it. And on my last job, I was working with my godfather, and so he's a nutraceutical engineer. So he was making gel encapsulation with weed inside and stuff like that, and had crazy big contracts, all kinds of just absolute insanity type shit. And so that was my first exposure to it. You're walking into a lab. Shit's not like homie showing up with like a little pack or something. You're in an $8 million R&D lab, and the fridge is a couple hundred grand of product, and you got to test. So every day you sit there just butter that. And like, all right, today's hypothesis is going to be that was definitely a lot of fun. Because that
Wow,
was my
that's really cool.
exposure, and I'm literally skyping my brother backwards, and like, all right, crazy, Pat. I'm like, you got to try this shit. It's gas. He's like, what's it like? Is it like hash? And I'm like, fuck no. And there's no pen, there was no none of this shit yet before vaping was 10 years ago. And I'm trying to explain to like friends and family back home what the fuck is this. There's no way of explaining shit like hippie crap. No matter how stoned you ever got, before that.
Wow. Now, what's the craziest thing that ever happened to you while you were high?
When I was younger, I done smoked myself retarded one time. Way too much. Like past that point of like you're stupid stoned, and then you like smoke yourself. So, but before I got to the smoke sober stage, I remember sitting down. I sat down and I rolled what was way bigger of a joint than I would normally ever smoke. And I just remember tripping out, staring at the tree bark. And the next thing I know, it's like 5 hours later. And I just, like, I don't wake up. I come to, still sitting on the park, staring at the exact big tree. And I'm like, fuck just happened the last 5 hours? Like, gone. Just fucking gone. It was nuts.
Oh my God. Wow, that must have been a little scary.
It was. You just kind of like look around and be like, all right, got all my shit, everything's fine. I'm like, no one fucks with me. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I feel you because like when like that when I was at the house party that I was talking about that my girl took me to, like when it finally clicked in my head, like way into the night that I was really really high.
Yeah.
My safety what's it called, my safety Jiminy Cricket, was like in my head telling me, yo, give your keys to someone else because you cannot drive like this. Like, I was already be like, yo, where's my keys? Yo, baby, take my keys real quick. I don't want to drive by accident because I'm being stupid right now. You know, like, I was just like wild. And she was like, no, you're okay. She had to actually take me outside so I can take a couple breaths. She was just breathe, relax. And I'm like, yo, I'm so fucking high. I've never been so high in my life. She's like recording me.
Yo.
And, but yeah, I mean, and then after that, like, I've never really gotten that high ever again. Like, weed has now gotten to a point where, like, I'm like always just nice, you know, like not too high, not too low, you know, like I haven't had a crazy trip since I took mushrooms for the first time.
Yeah.
That was an interesting experience. You ever had mushrooms?
Yeah. For me, I definitely prefer acid over mushrooms just because I'm allergic to mold and penicillin.
Oh.
So every time I take shrooms, it's always a little bit of a battle on the stomach. It's always a little bit rough. Not always,
wow.
but majority of the time. Plus, I find that the buzz from the shrooms it's a very strong physical disconnect. So you kind of you're in and out of a physical state of consciousness. Versus I found with the acid, it's much more mental. It's much more less of the wave, right? It's less of that totally in and out. When you're on the trip, you're kind of just you're on it. Plus, it has a little bit of a stimulus.
Yeah.
Kind of keeps you a little bit awake versus the mushrooms for that first hour. That's the other thing too, man. You're just fighting the yawns. You're fighting the wanting to go to sleep, and I'm like, and then half the time I'm like, I'm just spending all that time in the bathroom afterwards. I'm like shitting my life away, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, I'll do shrooms once. Yeah.
Now, when you were on acid, though, what was your experience? Like, you ever had like a philosophical experience with yourself?
Every time. There's always a different aspect and there's always a different element. You'll have some philosophical stuff. You'll have some metaphysical things. You'll have, some really, really good deep reflection. It's a beautiful process. That's what I kind of like about it. Going through an array of emotions. You're going through personal experiences. You're forecasting a lot of outside thoughts. It's all good shit.
No, yeah. I mean, when I took it, I totally changed. Like it was weird. Like I became very feminine and I started talking to myself. And then it was like this version of myself was talking in my head, but out here I was somebody different. And I was recording myself, like literally doing like video vlogs, talking to myself so that I would remember later what the conversation was. And I was just like telling myself all about love, about loving myself, you know? Maybe I might post it out one day so that way people can see and have a laugh because it was really funny. Like there's some things that I say in there that I'm just like, I cannot believe I said that. In the way that I was walking in public and like everything, like it's like I had no fear. It felt so weird just looking at myself. It's like, I can't believe that this is me, like, and I'm watching, you know, especially the morning after when you're like, you know, being like, what the fuck happened last night? And then you're watching the video and you're like, holy shit. Word, huh? It's almost like a hangover experience. What you drinking there?
My girl made me some crazy.
Some what?
My girl made me some crazy coffee.
Some crazy coffee? Why is it crazy?
It's good like that.
Oh, it's really good. It must be really good.
Yeah, there's some medicated keef in the coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yo, my girl. She's a crazy baker. So she's actually does a lot of different crazy infusions, so different types of baked goods, everything from edibles. One of the big things too that she does on the less recreational side is for dogs. A lot of people dogs that have anything, physical ailments and disorders, mental, you name it. They eat one of these dogs. So,
wow.
So many pics of these dogs who just shit eating or something.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I might have her on the show just so that I can we can run through some recipes because I'm a chef myself. I love cooking, and
for sure, I'm pushing that.
Now, have you ever like tried like an actual like dish with cannabis in it, like actual food, like a dinner
Yeah.
entree?
When I tried when I was younger, I think it was really a lot of the food that I like medicated ate tasted like which I also cook. So for me, neither one of those are exactly particular. I love the taste of it, but um, I ain't trying to taste it food or candies or any of that kind of stuff. So I found that a lot of the gummies, the candies, and that kind of stuff doesn't particularly work well for me. You got to put it with distillate in order to actually taste it, but then it leaves a really
Hmm.
weird green shit on when it comes. Plus, I'm not entirely sure. Different studies showing that my understanding, the little bit of the better. Then again, I need the way my girl does is she needs to point, and that part of the point is all of everything that she did. You couldn't taste it, read it like that. It's also a much better way of pulling dosages, knowing exactly what each cookie or what each baked good is actually valuable.
Wow.
Some of these people, yeah, they want to have fun, but they also don't want to just sit there and chew out on the goddamn thing.
Exactly, exactly. That's why.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, oh no, I was gonna say that that's why I would really like to talk to her because I've always wanted to like learn how to make it the right way so I can control the dosage and how it affects people too.
Um,
Because I know there's
that's,
a science to it. But
oh,
I really
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, she has a program that's set up for either individual or groups and things like that, where it's go through all the basics that might how it works, recipes, things like that. And it's nice because you actually become a little bit of an educator. It's not just about teaching how to cook something that tastes good or proper stuff. It's gonna keep you safe. It's gonna keep you understanding. It's a lot of fun. I think when it's done right, it's exceptional. I stay away from working with a lot of no matter what the was before we were made it, they would just give me this fucking crazy lethargic. I was like, whoa, I would just exhausted. Like, and I was like, there's no way this is not and it was one of my other friends and her. They're probably I could still eat, and yeah. There was a couple of times actually that made me feel is that same kind of like deep body buzz, like vibration, which is trippy.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I want to have that kind of experience with that kind of food. I still haven't
Oh,
tried. I haven't
yeah,
really tried like an actual dish with cannabis. The only thing I've eaten was when I was in California, where these the edibles that they would sell in the dispensary, because they actually had like the peach rings and
right,
like
right,
the sour strips and stuff like that, and I was
yeah,
like, oh my god, this actually tastes so amazing.
yeah. And you absolutely do. You do get chewed. It's very different. Not at all like smoking. Part of it is much like how combustion changes everything. Um,
Mm.
so does digesting. Um, at the same time as well too. It, it'll largely matter how first thing like right very different from Facebook. They're very different, and they all affect you. They all hit you different. There's a lot of confusion as well. And same thing, like because it's the hot liquid that's coming inside, it's going to hit you differently because it's being administered into the body.
Wow, that's cool to know. I mean, this is why I like having these type of conversations because it's like you get to learn a lot of different experiences, from other people's perspective. You know,
Absolutely.
like just listening to you talk about, how the differences and the way that it feels when it comes to like digesting food. Like it makes me want to like try it too. Like,
Well, yeah. I
and
mean, part of the reason too is when I was younger, when you eat, sometimes you feel almost like psychedelic, it's like trippy shit, is because the way you're basically metabolizing THC, it basically converts it into I think it's either delta 9 or delta 11. I can't remember, but it's one of those, and that is basically why you get that like I don't want to say hallucinogenic necessarily.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, no, I'm going to try and go find my battery. One second. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's that's, and again, that's part of, again, because of how we have
Right. Yeah. No, that's true. I've heard that too. Like I've been trying to do my own research on it, little by little. But wow. So like now in Canada, it's legal, right, to smoke?
Yes, Canada, we are now recreational.
Okay, that's cool. I wish New York would and New Jersey would already like
I can't
approve it.
believe New York's already not on the bandwagon, because, like, let's not kid ourselves. This is a money play, right? Like, uh, that's all that this is. And last time I checked, New York makes and spends a lot of money.
Right.
So what the fuck? Like, those dispensaries literally, like California, right? Same kind of shit. Non-stop, non-stop. And I think in Canada, what they were trying to, the way that part of the reason why that about it was, in hopes and an effort to try to limit the black market. The problem in Canada is 90% of these LPs, they're not even growing this. It's bunkers stuff. So bad. Like, so bad. You get it, it's short, don't buy, it's old, it's like, you know, this is not your homeboy that you'd be feel like, this is supposed to be the government shit. You guys got money, you guys got hella paid, and they're charging like insane numbers. Like, I mean, more than double. Crazy.
Wow.
And we've always paid actually a lot less than you. For you guys, I've seen quarters go easily for $1.20, $1.50 for a quarter. For us, a quarter, like, inexpensive quarter is like $60, $70. You're like, God, what the fuck is this? Like, $10, right? Crazy. Yeah, no, totally. And that's like, at 70, 80, you're getting quad.
Wow.
And that shit won't fly here where I am in Quebec. It works in Ontario, it works in, like, British Columbia and stuff like that, but nah, for the rest of Canada. So all of a sudden, when we're now seeing those quarter prices literally also being over $100 for 7 grams, it was like, how did this shit's like what it is in the States? How did this happen here in Canada? Yeah, it's a little bit of a battle and shit to figure it out. Oh, so I don't know if you can see it, but these are some of my signature joints. Kind of hard to see that, right?
Oh, wow.
Send me your address afterwards, and I'll make you a little match.
Oh yeah, that would be freaking awesome, and I really appreciate that.
Sure.
Well,
it's just nice when you're passing it to people, right? No one's gonna goose your fucking joint, and you actually don't need to put a filter because of the actual thing like that. So you get to taste your flower 10 times better. It's nice as fuck. You can leave it in your mouth, smoking on it. You're not gonna sog your filter out. You can get no red shit on your lips. None of that nonsense. And what's crazy is it booms the joint, meaning it hits, and it's not like taking a little puff up. It's like taking a hit off. It soaks it up, and hits it. Cute, tiny little piece of glass just makes the joint like absolutely.
Holy shit, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that something like that. Like, you came up with that all on your own, or you like got a reference?
No, I saw a couple other people doing it, and it kind of reminded me of, back when the girls used to smoke the cigarettes out of the long kind of things, and I was like, oh, this kind of became a thing like that. I'm like, no, I'm like, the guy like back when we were once to do it even stuff too.
Wow, that's awesome. I want one. Just looking at you smoking.
For sure, bro. Once you smoke it, you won't be able to like not smoke it.
Yo, word. I'm gonna be using it on the show the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we're reaching the end of our interview. It's been really nice talking to you.
Absolute pleasure, man.
It's been such a interesting conversation. So good. So many things that we went into. I hope everybody who's watching, is enjoying it. And I'm definitely gonna put a link at the bottom of the video so that way people can see your art pieces.
And I'll post up the link as well too, so people get a chance. Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I definitely want to do another interview in the future, maybe in person. Maybe I'll go to Canada. We smoke together. That'd be freaking awesome.
I got homies all over the States. and in New York and shit like that too. So once borders get, a little less fucking crazy and nonsensical,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can take you on a little tour, and we'll definitely be down there.
yeah, definitely. That'd be awesome, man. Well, you have a good day. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna give you a phone call right after this interview.
Sounds
All
good,
right.
man.
So I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, bro.
All right. Peace out, man. Wow, that was so fucking awesome. Just having, actually, it's really awesome because I finally got my fucking first episode off on this fucking podcast. I've been so stressed out and so anxious about it. Okay, I need to stop. I'm being really talkative because I'm high. That's how I get. But anyway, that was such a great first interview. Ika, which his name is also Ethan, is a really cool dude. I got to know him because of his brother, Natan, who will in the future be interviewed on this show too, so you guys can meet how cool he is. He's the one that, Ika was talking about that really played the harmonic really, really well. But I met Natan is one of my friends, and he introduced me to his brother Ika because I wanted to get somebody on the show who not only smoked weed but also did something cool with it. And look, this guy makes fucking amazing bongs. Like, I'm definitely gonna get one. Especially maybe one with a snake. Since my logo is like a snake. My personal logo is like a snake. But that would be really cool. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this show. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Next episode is gonna be next week, same time, same day on Wednesday, and maybe I'll do a couple sneak peeks so you guys can get a hint on who's my next host. So I'll see you guys around. You have a good day, and don't forget to subscribe. Show some love. Show me that you want to see me again, but. Yeah, not in a creepy way, but in a loving way, because I really love doing this. But talk to you guys later. I'm high. I'm probably gonna smoke another one though. But yeah, good night.